The final speaker coming up. Big hand.
Good evening, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
lady.
3.5. The man was depressed. Twice a year, in August and February, he received a white envelope which contained documents with charts and numbers. 4.0 was the average number, but he could only get 3.5. Back in 1986, after finishing graduate school, he became a teacher. In those days, young people were dancing all night at Juliana, Tokyo, disco days. Their spirits were very high, and this young teacher's spirit was also very high. He thought, I'll be a great teacher. Well, Japan is at its peak of bubble economy, and this young teacher was at his peak of ambition. So, just like the end of bubble, he would experience the aftershock, the hardship of the real life some years later. This young teacher was me. Unfortunately, I had little teaching skills, and when I taught, I was talking in a monotone. In the early 21st century, my college introduced the student evaluation system. At the end of every semester, students evaluate teachers' performance. And in August and February, the results are mailed to the faculty. The scale is 1 to 5, and the school average has always been around 4. And my score was always below the average, around 3.5. I definitely need teaching and speaking skills. And I thought skills for public speaking and presentation would be helpful. So I started studying at Richard Speech Academy in August 2009. In the new year 2010, my first Speech 3 term came, and the theme was storytelling. I chose a rakugo story, Time Noodles. How much is this bowl of noodles? 16 mon, sir? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What time is it now? 9, sir? 10, 11, 12. Almost all parts were characterization. The student evaluation for the spring semester that year came. The result was 3.5. The poor performance may have been partly due to insufficient eye contact and voice control. I continued to try to improve my speaking skills, and another new year term came. Storytelling again. This time, I chose an American short story with British and French accent. Clearly, monsieur, you are the victim! And I am a victim for that year's student evaluation. The result was, again, 3.5. In the storytelling, I mainly practiced accent variation, and I paid little attention to strong enthusiasm and consideration of the listener's point of view. Now the New Year term 2012. Storytelling term again, my third storytelling term. And I selected a scary story. I told it with a lot of strong emotion, and I always tried to think how I looked and sounded from the listener's side. In April, the spring term started at my college, and in August, I received a big envelope again with a lot of charts and numbers. I looked at them, and 4.5! I made it! After 26 years of struggle in teaching at my college and 3 years of continuous efforts at the academy, I finally received a number above the average for the first time. Good.
Sorry, that's it.
Okay.
That's 6 minutes right there.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
give you comments. What did you think?
Yeah. Okay. So the Yustan. So finally you got the 4.5 and passed the speech academy for the rakugo or something 2 times, but still you made 3.5. But the last part then gives 4.5. But the last part, what makes 4.5 is really missing.
Why
Yeah.
that progress?
Yeah.
Okay,
What is the contribution? What was the contribution for those units?
Maybe that comes after.
Ah.
Maybe that comes after.
Okay. Time's up.
Well, I intended to include that. I mean, just one sentence. But probably, the point there was, I at least at that time I tried to tell the story with a lot of strong emotion, and that strong emotion is actually a paraphrase of conviction. So the last actually I left one last sentence, and the last sentence was continuous effort, conviction, and consideration of listeners made it, something like that.
That's too many. That's way too many. You're going to confuse the people. It's just one key message, and there's 3 things. So tomorrow, what are people going to remember about?
Well,
your
I just
speech?
thought that power of 3 and also the alliteration would make.
Not in the message.
Okay.
Not in the message. Message has to be just singular. So wait a minute. So for example, logically thinking, okay, you cared about the techniques in storytelling 1, 2, 3, okay, and then you put in the conviction, all these things. But why did it suddenly go to 4.5 in the 3rd year? And maybe that is because finally all the things you practiced and cared finally became a part of you,
Right.
right?
Right.
And to make it a part of you, a certain amount of time was necessary
Yeah.
for you to absorb. In other words, the key word is continuing. That's the real strength, as the saying goes. And that is the message to the people. Continue. And one day, it will become a part of you. That's the message. So you don't need the conviction and the other things, you see. Then that way, you see, a speech is sometimes measured, the success of a speech is measured by how long people remember your speech. 1 week later, 1 month later, 1 year later, people still remember your speech. That's a powerful speech. And the way people remember is because you have one key message that goes deeply. Right? So in that way, the message has to be singular. Cannot be just 2 or 3. Power of 3 is a technique to enhance that point. So it doesn't mean power of 3 is give 3 messages. So that is the point that has to be streamlined.
Well, actually, my original idea was continuation should make something, you know.
Mhm.
But with that message, I couldn't make up, you know, an interesting story.
No. It is an interesting story because, you know, in the beginning, we feel I'm not making progress. But then one day, this continuing sparks, and then it becomes a part of you. And it inspires the people, whatever project you are engaged in. It's not going well, but you try again. It's not, one day, suddenly, it's going to be part of you. That's the inspiring point. So it's worthy to keep on trying through your experience. But you put in the conviction and all that, that's not going to inspire anybody. Because it's basically, when you speak, you should believe what you say. That doesn't inspire anything. Because that's not exactly what you experienced in the macro perspective of the past 3 years. Trust me, that will work. But of course, it'll depend on how you construct it. For
Right,
example, the too long part, and I'm coming back to you, Naoki, too long part is the part about the bubble and how you were, you know. Because basically what you wanted to say is that you were a teacher for a long time, and then the results were not good. You know, until you arrive there, you spend too much time, and it's wasted. Absolutely, you know, cut that or make that shorter. Also, charts and numbers is going to confuse people. You see, again, wordy. Too many words to explain one thing. What's charts and numbers? No need. Just a chart or just a number, you know. But I have some other points, but I'm going to throw it to you because you were in the middle of saying something.
I couldn't see your progress in the beginning and the last the 2012 because you're speaking fluently in the beginning. So in the rakugo story, you're good storyteller. You train, but I think I thought you were a good speaker in the beginning.
That's a very good point, you know. Because if you show the rakugo at the present level of speaking, and then, you know, it's kind of the same level of pretty good speaking, then why suddenly you went up, you think?
Okay.
So it's a good point. So in the rakugo days, if the performance very clearly was not up to today, then we can see how how one day suddenly the continuing made you great, right? Yeah, good point.
I see. What I think.
First part.
First part.
Yeah, you receive the
Yeah.
envelope and 3.5.
Yes.
And then you go back to the 96.
1986. Yes.
96. Yeah. So I confused. And then you again receive 3.5.
Right.
First, I confused. This is cell.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's not worry about that because we got to change that. Okay, we got to change that for multiple reasons. First reason is it's a depressing introduction.
Yes.
It's a disappointing
Yeah.
feeling. Listening to you today, I don't think it's a very good introduction because the first introduction of a new speaker is the handshake time with the audience. It's the rapport time. I want to show positive energy that first-time listeners, I want them to feel my energy and I want them to like me. But if my content demands me to be depressed, I'm a depressed speaker. It doesn't establish rapport. You know, I want to basically start with a happy greeting, but then suddenly the first few sentences is a depressing mood, does not really capture the audience in the way I want to. Okay, that's one reason. Another reason is the flashbacking back and forth, as witnessed by Yoshiro's comment, makes it confusing. So maybe it's straighter to go back in time. Start there, and then take the plunge down.
You mean flip the order of the first two parts?
Or cut the 3.5. The
First beginning.
Right.
Okay.
Start with the bubble.
Oh, okay.
Or, of course you need a catchy first sentence.
Right.
My life was like the bubble economy. In 1986, I was dancing in Juliana, and I was, something like that.
Okay.
And I was burning to be a great teacher, yeah! And then 1992, the bubble burst. And my teaching career, like that. Then instead of hiding your identity too much, maybe you can just package it more in a positive way. And then hook it with the up and down more. Because, we have to cut, right? Because that's a real priority. We got to cut 1 minute and still we don't have your message, right? So let's cut that hiding the identity, because I have a feeling even first-time listeners probably get a inkling that it's you. So there's no need to hide that too much.
Okay.
So just come to that 3.5 much earlier. So that will take care of that confusion anyway. Kuz, your turn.
Well, I thought right after you finish your graduate school, you are really motivated. So if I heard like you initially didn't know your evaluation, so you thought that you are doing it.
2002?
No, late
You
80s.
mean the first evaluation?
Yeah.
2000.
I don't remember correctly, but around that time, I think.
Okay.
Right? Until then, you thought that you are doing great job, but all of a sudden
Right.
you receive this, so you are,
That's right.
put down to the earth.
So Japan's bubble collapsed in 1992. My personal bubble collapsed 10 years later in 2002.
Something like that. Then all of a sudden you.
Because of this envelope
Right.
that came in.
Something like that.
Actually, reality is not that simple.
Then you realize.
But you're not telling your autobiography here.
Yeah.
You're giving a message to inspire the people
Right.
through a sample of your life. Go
So
ahead.
I think so. First you are very smooth, and then all of a sudden you are put into the, I don't know, this. Then you struggled and catching up.
When the evaluation
Yeah.
came, yeah.
So that seemed to be a very interesting story. First, I think
High
because of the
flying plunge,
right,
then the
yeah.
comeback.
You are enjoying like a bubble days. Your teaching style was pretty good and etc. You thought,
Okay.
but you realized
But
the envelope made you realize
Uh-huh.
maybe a different message. Then you started your struggle story.
Okay.
then, of course, you have to change that 26 years of struggle of teaching, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not 26 years.
Right.
Then I think it's more like up and down.
And of course, climbing back up
Climb back up.
comes back to the storytelling projects. And that's very true about, the ability of the storyteller.
Well, that's very interesting because sometimes smooth characterization might make harm something.
Yeah. Right.
You need to show some progress.
You need to show some progress, that's right. But it's true too, right?
Right,
I mean,
that's true,
that's
true,
right.
yeah, actually.
Because you are just doing at your ability today.
Right.
You are doing the past with today's ability, but
Right.
you have to go back to.
Right. That's right. Actually, that's right.
Yeah.